Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming back at you after, an international hiatus. And here we are with myself, Gary Stryker, the Hooligan, and our special guest, Will Gittins, which means it must be MLS playoff episode, semifinals. Gentlemen, hello. Finally, international break is over until March. Thank goodness, because it's just this stop-start, although we were having an editorial conversation, Will, just beforehand with the Hooligan and myself, and just saying how this international break it was a lively one, it was a spicy one, particularly for a number of countries sort of qualifying for the World Cup for the first time. And then the Hooligan obviously didn't pull any punches because I don't really pay huge amounts of attention to it. And he said, I am the worst type of fan because, I don't pay attention too much to the international breaks. But anyway,
this is true. This is true. But to your credit, you may be the worst type of fan and supporter, but you are very good at taking criticism. So we do applaud you for your openness in that regard. And just, now that we're back from our international break, encourage everybody who's on board to, follow, subscribe. Keep us with the feedback. Hit us up. We have one person who writes to us, and we love it. Even the bad things are good to our ears. So especially around Gary, because like I said before, the man can take criticism. He loves feedback. So please provide. And go on to our site, hooligan-soccer.com, to read all of our words and our musings and our thoughts, and check out some of our other fellow podcasters and give them some love and support. Gary, back to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, this would also be the segment where we would put a host red ad in here as well, but unfortunately we're clearly not at that stage as well. So we'll just have to.
I will just make one for Super Happy Lucky Cat though. Super Happy Lucky Cat has been supporting dreams and aspirations of people around the globe for centuries. So let's hear it. Super Happy Lucky Cat.
There we go. And so, Will, how have you been? Now, have you been in this sort of, this sort of like 2-week break that we've had with all the international stuff? Have you been following the international stuff much? Have you been sort of pining and craving the MLS playoffs, or what's that? What have you been sort of casting your attention to?
Probably a little bit of pining initially, but then the thrills of this international break with World Cup qualification on the line has caught my attention and kept me occupied for the last few days, definitely, with England, Scotland qualifying and completing their campaigns, and not so much qualifying, but Team USMNT putting in a big performance last night. We're recording now.
That's true.
5 goals against Uruguay, showing real signs of progress and showing signs of progress with MLS players, or recently departed MLS players at least. Bodes well, I think, for the US looking ahead to next year's World Cup, but also for the quality in MLS right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's
a good segue.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic segue. And to be fair, I hate to say it, but and I can certainly be accused of somebody who doesn't follow the U.S. men's national team as closely, perhaps, as I should. I actually support the Dutch, not the United States. But despite my accent, ladies and gentlemen, and so I was shocked by that scoreline, 5-1. It shocked me almost as much as Wales defeating North Macedonia 7-1. and I commented earlier that I don't think Wales has ever scored 7 international goals in one fixture before. I have to go through and double check that, but
I'd imagine that's a good year usually.
Yes, I mean it's a little diss on Wales, but yeah, you're absolutely correct factually, I believe. So yeah, it was quite red dragons running rampant. So yeah, but the MLS, just out of curiosity, will any of those U.S. men's national team MLS players be making appearances inside the conference semifinals, Mr. Gittins?
Well, you're putting me on the spot a bit, but there will certainly be Matt Freese, the starting goalkeeper, who's really established himself under Mauricio Pochettino. He will be playing for NYCFC when they take on Philadelphia Union.
That's right.
This weekend. Who else? I mean, Max Ofsted is impressed. Alex Freeman scored twice, but they are both out of the postseason, unfortunately. Is there anyone I'm missing? Hooligan?
Sebastian Berhalter.
Yes, very true.
Berhalter is going to feature in the first game that we're going to be covering, which is the Vancouver Whitecaps versus the LAFC.
And that is a segue.
That is a segue. I know we are killing it right now with the segues. So we're like going better than Paul Blart on our segues. So that was a deep cut for all those movie fans out there.
Wow. Okay, well, this is not getting any better, guys. I'm going to move this along. Okay, yeah, let's go. Okay, first game of the playoffs, of the semifinals, West Coast, Vancouver against LAFC. This, for me, seems like two of possibly the strongest teams going up against each other and are going to knock each other out. So we've got Thomas Müller against Heung-min Son.
That's exactly what I want to talk about. Those two right there. What a treat. What an absolute mitzvah for the soccer fanatic to see two of the best, maybe a little past their prime, but still so deliciously seasoned and ready to give good content. Look at their form. It's absolutely shocking. What is it? Son has 10 goals and 3 assists in 12 games, and Mueller has 9 goals and 4 assists in 10. That's completely insane between two, and that's not even counting the other incredible talent that sits on either side of the roster. Denny Bouanga for LAFC and Sebastian Berhalter. Again, we mentioned him for Vancouver. What are you going to do other than sit back and go, bring it, baby, bring it?
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. This is where, how do you sort of play this one out? Vancouver, they're going to have home field advantage, of course. So there is something there. Whether in Vancouver's, well, I don't know, the West Coasters are experiencing an absolute bomb at the moment, and I think it's going to carry on into the weekend as well, as I'm looking at the weather forecast as well. So could that have an effect as well, particularly those Los Angeles who don't really like playing, don't play so much in the wet?
No, firstly, Vancouver and LA are separated by nearly 30, like they're separated by something like 1,800 miles of coast. Not to mention Vancouver has got its own unique weirdness with weather. BC Place, which is where they played, it is a very large stadium. It has a capacity for 66,000, although they generally keep the upper tier closed off. They put tifos in front of it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll be opening it up for this game. If it was a final, maybe, but they should be able to pull in at least 30,000+ raucous Canadians and other supporters from people coming in from Washington State, maybe to check it out. So I actually do think the home field advantage is significant. LA is very hard to play in their home stadium. They have a vibrant and very dynamic crowd. Not to mention all the celebrities that come in to lend a little certain club. Although I guarantee you, the other Will, the guy who owns, not you, Will Gittins. I know
Will.
There's another Will. They're the owner of LAFC.
Ferrell. Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Rings a bell.
Yeah. So he'll be there.
Yeah.
He'll be there.
He'll be there.
But what are your thoughts, Will, on this one?
Yeah. Where do you think this one's going?
I think it's interesting. It's a straight knockout game, so it'll be decided on the day, which does lean towards it being, a kind of a Son versus Müller head-to-head clash. Who can create that moment of magic and who can win the game for their teams? But in the last 2 seasons, these two teams have met in the playoffs. Each time it's been LAFC who have advanced, and across those 2 games, Denny Bouanga has scored 4 goals. He has been the decisive factor when these two teams have met. He often is in the playoffs. He's got an incredible record with LAFC in the postseason. But it seems like against Vancouver in particular, he finds joy there. And it'll be interesting to see how this iteration of Vancouver, which is now, so I think this season they've broken all-time team records for points, goals, wins, and goal difference. And they've only recently added Thomas Müller. So this is a very different, style of Vancouver team. This is the team that finished, they finished second in the end in the West, but they were really challenging to finish top for the whole season. And it's going to be interesting to see how LAFC whether their sort of know-how and experience in the pro season still gives them the edge over Vancouver, or whether the quality and the level that Vancouver are playing at this season is decisive on home pitch.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I know. I agree with. I would be very hard pressed to try and pick a winner on this one, because I just want to. As I said, I just want to sit and enjoy this in real time, without having any preconceptions or even any sort of desire as to who wins. I don't really care. In the sense that I'm not a gigantic Whitecap supporter versus an LAFC supporter. I mean, there's a part of me that says, all right, Toronto lost to the Dodgers in an epic final. So let's make sure that this game is as epic as that World Series was, right? I granted over one game, but let's make this 90 minutes or 120 minutes if it goes to extra time of sheer balls out, brilliance. That's all I'd love to see. And may the strongest team advance on. I think it's just a win-win all the way around.
Yeah. So Hooligan, I'm going to press you then. Who do you think's going to?
Seriously?
Yeah.
You're going to press me.
I'm going to press you. Who do you think?
Vancouver. If I have to, I'm gonna edge with Vancouver on this one. Like Will said, LAFC has the run of form, but I think this could be Vancouver's year. So let's go with them.
Okay. Well, where do you think this one? Where do you think who's going to take this one?
I think I'd probably lean in that direction. I think Vancouver got real momentum, real team spirit, and with Muller added to the mix, real quality.
Yeah, I think we're all set back. Look at that. All three of us are in agreement. I agree. I think Vancouver will probably just have enough to go, but it will be a close game, and it'll be a very good game, I suspect. Okay, so that's the Saturday game. And then moving through to Sunday, we've got two games. The first one, obviously back on the East Coast, is Cincinnati are hosting Messi and co. Miami. Is this a slam dunk for Miami, or do you think Cincinnati have a fighting chance here?
I would say a fighting chance, definitely. Cincinnati's season has really been built on moments from players like Evander. And we haven't really seen him much in the playoffs this season. And from memory, he didn't really do that much last year with Portland when it came down to the postseason. And so it'll be interesting to see if he can, stand up to what Messi's going to be doing on the other side of the field, whether he can produce even not necessarily a goal, but just something to keep Miami, awake at the back, something that will help to balance the game out, because I think most people would expect Miami to dominate the ball and Cincy to rely on their defense where they can. And it's really going to be about Cincinnati trying to provide some kind of danger going forward. And realistically, that's going to be from Evander. You mentioned it's Messi and co. I think it's interesting to see who the co is this time, because Luis Suarez is now back from suspension. He is, fully available to play, and I'm sure will be expecting to play. Inter Miami won 4-0 last time. They beat Nashville, swept them aside, probably one of their best performances of the season. And they did that not with a pretty stationary 38-year-old, but with a very mobile 19-year-old in Silvetti, who led the line in his place. He seemed to be quite a good foil for Messi, because he was dogged in his runs. He was occupying the whole defense and then giving space for Messi, who scored a brace, and Teo Allende, who also scored a brace. It would be a very, very ballsy move at this stage in the postseason to keep Suarez sidelined. And I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's something that Mascherano will need to consider. And certainly as the game goes on, if Miami are drawing or even behind, it's a position where I don't think things are as solid now as they seemed a month ago. I don't know. Hooligan, what do you think?
I think Miami's biggest problem has always been their defense, and it will continue to be so. This is a team that is vulnerable to counterattack. It's vulnerable to, and that's what Cincinnati loves. You mentioned Evander, and yes, he's the leader on Cincinnati, but let's not forget Brenner. He's pace. A little bit, he's whip smart. And then Denke has this bizarre ability to just hit these impossible shots, right? That winner, that last minute winner in their series against Columbus is a great example of that. And this is a game, much like with Vancouver, and I think even more so, Cincinnati being at home is huge. Listen, when you go to Miami, it's a sea of pink. Everybody's there, but it's not a Miami jersey they're wearing. It's a Messi jersey. Let's be honest. Okay. And they're big and they're loud and they're all that. But with Miami, everybody goes in because it's a scene. In Cincinnati, when they go there, it's because they feel it, right? There are crowds in the MLS that can produce big energy and big noise. Very few of them like Cincinnati. That place is manic, absolutely crazy. And they're going to feed on that, right? When Cincy in this postseason has been playing at home, they've been stubborn, tough, and they found through that 12th man the will to go through and succeed. And I think that's going to come through on this. I'm hoping for a high-scoring game. I think it has the potential to be, 3-2, 4-3. I mean, lots of goals. Messi will score because he just seems to do that. But I think Cincinnati have that oomph, that dig, that deep-seated desire to go in and pull it out. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati on this one and I'm even going to give you a score. I'm going to go 3-2. And it may even need extra time to get there. But yeah, I think because Miami can't defend. They just cannot defend. They did do a good job of stifling Nashville, but I don't think the Lightning's going to strike twice there.
Okay. Will, do you have the same radical opinion as the Hooligan and thinking that they're going to knock Miami out? I mean, it is fair to say that Miami have choked quite a lot this season, right? They have had a lot of opportunities to sort of win trophies and they just can't seem to get it over the line. Defense is a problem. All of the things you do say are true. But the only thing I can see in Cincinnati's favor is the home field.
Would never claim to be as radical as the Hooligan in any sense.
That is
something. I'm not going to follow him this time either, I'm afraid. No, I think that Inter Miami do have the quality. And I think that in the last round, they showed the grit, the ability to get the job done, which I think will have probably put to rest some of the ghosts from last season. And I do expect them to get past a Cincy team that will be tough on the road.
Okay. Yeah, I think
I can respect that opinion. Absolutely. I don't. No, because I like it.
It's also, I think you bring up a very valid point there. It is very hard to be as radical as the Hooligan as well. So yes, I think that's absolutely pertinent there.
Something I tell my children every day. Don't be like your father.
Yeah, don't be like him. Yes.
Don't be like your dad.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of other East Coast fixtures, then on Sunday, the evening game, there is Philadelphia hosting New York City. This one's a hard one for me to call looking at this. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Will, where are you on this one?
Yeah, tough to say. I mean, Philadelphia should be the standout favourites. They won the Supporters' Shield. They look good all season, and then swept past Chicago in 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round. So that all looks pretty good. But if you look at a little bit deeper, I think Philly haven't been quite as convincing in the postseason as you might have hoped. The first game they had against Chicago, they were leading, ended up conceding late and only won on penalties. Yep. And then the second game was kind of coloured by the fact that Chicago were without their first choice goalkeeper. The guy who came in to replace Chris Brady then was probably at fault for 2 early goals. And that kind of won the game and by extension the series. We haven't really seen that much hugely impressive from Philadelphia in the postseason so far. But what we have seen is goals from Ty Baribo. I don't know, he's a favourite of yours, Hooligan.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
I've been on the
you've been Baribo train for a while, yeah.
Yeah, and had been through a bit of a dry patch in the last couple of months, maybe. Had kind of dropped out of the starting 11 a bit, despite his goals earlier on in the season. Scored a brace in game 2 against Chicago, and is probably almost certainly going to be the starting number 9 for Philadelphia. And I think that when they have him on form, he is a player that can elevate them. He's a player that can hold the ball up on his own, can make things happen, bring others into play. I think we've spoken a few times in the last couple of weeks about the kind of different attributes that Philadelphia have in their forward players. And I think a fit and firing Ty Baribo is the one that really ties it all together and provides the finishing touch more reliably, probably, than anyone else. So yeah, I would expect Philadelphia to go through, but I mean, we saw a lot from NYCFC in the previous round against Charlotte, and I wouldn't be surprised if their big players, NYC, can do something again.
My biggest concern with NYC is that Alonso Martinez is done. He had an ACL injury, and he's out. They rely so heavily on him, right? He is their biggest goal scorer by X factors. And so who's going to step up to replace him, right? You've got maybe Nicolas Fernandez and
Who
Hannes
scored
Wolf,
in the last round, yeah.
who scored twice in the last round, right? He scored a brace against,
Nice goal.
I think he scored twice against Charlotte. So it's not as if they don't have other options, but Martinez is almost irreplaceable, right? In as that center striker. So I don't know who else they have. Certainly they don't have any other pure number 9 that can step up, right? I mean, the only ones they've got two 17-year-olds on right. Zidane Yanez and Garfield Reed out of Jamaica. And then of course, Malachi Jones, the Sierra Leonean player. I mean, really? So I think it's a real challenge for Janssen, the NYC manager. He has to really suddenly this deep into the postseason make a big switch, like tactically, lineup wise. I don't know if they're going to be. Let me put it this way: if NYCFC beats Philadelphia, this would be the upset of the playoffs, in my opinion, because Philadelphia Union is so strong. And with Martinez, I'd say, okay, it's a fair battle. But without Martinez, if they can topple Philadelphia, what an upset that would be. And Janssen's suddenly going to be looked at in a whole different light, because it's going to be probably due to his managerial nous, however you call it, his wisdom there and his ability to move them around. That is going to be what NYC can do. That's what I think. It's going to come down to managerial shifting and then the players buying into whatever he's doing and just giving 110%. That's the only way they're going to do it. But I'm going with Philadelphia. I'm giving you the options, but I'm going with Philadelphia. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does try a wide player up front. I mean, Alonso Martinez, when he came to NYCFC, I think he was a wide player, or sort of an attacking midfielder who kind of got shuffled further forward. And, the way he plays is kind of like a winger who's playing up front. He's very mobile, always looking to run in behind, runs the channels very willingly, very ably. And so I do think they'd have options who could come in and do that kind of role. But what we've seen from him this year and half of last year is the finishing. And you're definitely right that NYC don't have a finisher of his caliber. Now he's out.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I would lean in your direction as well. And I think that Philadelphia, should have enough to get through and make it to the conference final.
Yeah, I'm excited for the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm really excited for the game because I'm just curious to see how they adapt and what they do, because it's a perfect opportunity for some young player in NYC to step up and make a name for themselves and suddenly, going into a winter transfer window, hey, look at me. I'm the new hotness. Come on now. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, I think Philadelphia should have this one. I agree. I mean, you've been a big Ty Baribo fan all since the beginning of the season, because he came out of the gates really, really hot in the beginning, didn't he, Hooligan? Yep. And it went a little bit cold and is picking up. So hopefully he could be a critical decision maker here. Okay, and then moving over to the final game of the semis. This is on Monday evening. My new favorite MLS franchise, San Diego, hosting Minnesota. San Diego just can't seem to sort of drop the ball here or sort of fail. I mean, opening inaugural season, winning their conference. I mean, I think this should be a pretty straightforward open and shut game here. San Diego should just stroll through Minnesota here, or do you guys have any contrary opinions to that?
I don't think it's going to be an easy stroll. Minnesota's they're a stubborn team, man. They are. They are capable of brilliance, but often don't show it, and they just kind of muddle through. But the premise of Minnesota's game is built on defensive rigor. And so it's going to have to, you're going to have to see San Diego kind of carve them apart, and it could take a while. I think all the goals are going to come late, but I think they're going to come in a flurry. I do think San Diego has the quality, as you mentioned. I think they're going to win this game, but it's not going to be easy for them. And it's certainly not going to be a very straightforward waltz through the park, chase the loons and we're going to win. No way. Minnesota is going to be stubborn. So I would, and they could punch them in the nose. It might even be a little bit of a comeback, have to do a comeback win, but San Diego should win. They should take it.
They should do. They've got plenty of quality up front.
Yeah.
And, we saw Chucky Lozano get kind of integrated back into the team, and Dreyer scoring and Pellegrino scoring. And it does look like they've got a lot of options, but they do kind of rely on playing the game on their own terms. And Minnesota, probably of all the teams in MLS, are very well set up and well organized to counteract that. They do the ugly things. They do set pieces very well. They make the most of every tiny opportunity they have. And they're coming into the game with some real momentum from the circumstances of the last round. They were losing against a more experienced Seattle team, went down to 10 men, then were losing, then fought back, took it to penalties, and then won one of the most extraordinary penalty shootouts I've ever seen. Did that on home field as well, in front of the fans. They'll have that, the memories of that great connection with supporters and that real historic moment for the team. And I do think that in a playoff situation, that kind of momentum can really do something for a team that is, organized and hardworking. I think for the last couple of weeks, I've been saying that it would be a big, probably into Miami. One of the real favorites, Miami or Philadelphia, will probably get through to MLS Cup from the East. And in the West, I was favoring someone a bit more gritty, someone who are just going to get it done. And I did initially think it would be Seattle. Now, as they've fallen, I am slightly twisting my my prediction, and I think I can see Minnesota doing it. I think they've got real togetherness, real heart, and I think the momentum from that last win could carry them through against a San Diego team that doesn't really have much experience in these kind of situations.
You say grittiness, and I also think that as far as teams go, Minnesota is a true team. I'd be going, quick, name one Minnesota United player. Right? Who's their star?
Yeah.
You can't. It's without doing pre-research, it's hard. Lod is the only one that I know, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's hard. But they find ways. Because that's what teams do. They don't rely on stars, they rely on systems, and they rely on tenacity, and they rely on resilience. And that's what Minnesota has. And Will, I don't blame you if the team that knocks out my favorite becomes my favorite, right? So that's a tried and true backdrop. So you're in good company with that particular move. I just think San Diego at home, the inaugural season, there's so much wind in those sails. Right. There's so much wind in those sails. I think that will carry them over, but it should be an absolute treat of a game. I'm so excited. All four games are going to be so good. They all have the potential to be, incredible. And I just hope they live up to it.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be goals galore. I think it could be.
No, I agree.
It could be very scrappy, but I think it will be tense. And I think it might come down to something like some more, some more penalty saving from St. Clair, like we saw in the last round for Minnesota, something like that. But I can definitely see them doing enough to get through.
And if it does come to penalty kicks, I absolutely give the advantage to Minnesota. St. Clair has proven that he is otherworldly when it comes to standing between the sticks there. It's like, that's the guy you want. That is the guy you want. Absolutely, 100%.
Wonderful. Wow.
So I'm going to say San Diego. I'm going to say with San Diego, but with a caveat and a big asterisk that if it goes to pens, I'm switching to Minnesota. I'm going Loons all the way.
Definitely one of those two then. You've narrowed it down.
Sure. Why not?
Radical ideas here, Hooligan. Look at this. Yeah.
This is why I don't bet. Because I don't, that's why I don't bet. So there you are.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, gents, that has brought us to the end of it. So this has been another good session, good episode. Obviously great to have all the domestic competitions back up and running. Hooligan, you and I will be back tomorrow doing a Premier League look through, and then also as well we have the Champions League coming up as well, so look out for that as well. And then we will be back next week as well with an MLS special once we've obviously been through all of the semi-finals, getting ready for the finals, and then on to the final. So yeah, wonderful. Will, as always, thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Until next time.
Great to see you. Well, thanks.
Take care.
Peace.